Wind blowing 30 degrees for your low 10.
All right, thank you, Lisa.
That'll do for News 2 at 5. We'll see you back here at 6.
Take care.
On World News tonight, one of the worst terrorist attacks in history. Nearly 200 people dead, 1,400 wounded in the Spanish capital of Madrid. At home, President Bush's new ads attacking John Kerry. Senator Kerry says Mr. Bush is running away from his record. Judgment handed down for the hockey player who broke an opponent's neck. Is it enough to stop hockey violence? And the biggest art heist in American history. This convicted criminal says he can get back $500 million in stolen masterpieces.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Reporting tonight, Charles Gibson.
Good evening. September 11th will always be a day of national tragedy for the United States. In Spain, today, March 11th, now has similar infamy. In Madrid this morning, more than 190 people were killed and more than 1,400 injured when 10 separate bombs ripped through commuter trains and railway platforms during rush hour. The scene was horrific. Bodies and body parts everywhere. The Spanish Prime Minister called it simply mass murder. Who was responsible? It could be Spanish terrorists. It could be Islamic terrorists. It could be both. We'll get to that in a moment. But first, the attack itself, and ABC's Charles Glass in Madrid.
Commuter train sent blood and metal flying. Ambulances rushed more than 1,000 wounded to city hospitals, and the government set up centers for people to identify the bodies of missing loved ones. This young woman says she was just behind one of the cars when it exploded. Everyone started running and they were covered in blood, she says. It was horrendous. And this man saw bodies scattered everywhere. He says some were burning and screaming. Dazed survivors wandered along the tracks, and police rushed to a scene of horror with trains torn to pieces and parts of human bodies in crushed train cars. The timing, when most people were on their way into work, appeared designed to cause the maximum number of civilian casualties. All the explosives went off in backpacks on the same commuter line into Madrid. 7:30 this morning, the first 3 explosions erupt inside a crowded train pulling into the central Atocha station. 7:44, 4 more bombs tear through the next train before it reaches the same station. 5 minutes later, another commuter train explodes at a suburban stop 9 miles down the line. And 7:54, at a station 6 miles from the Atocha station, the last 2 bombs explode on a double-decker commuter train. An hour later, police find 2 more bombs that did not go off and detonate them. Within hours of this morning's explosion, Spain's newspapers were on the streets with special editions. The headlines say that this is the worst terrorist massacre in Spanish history, and they're calling today our 9/11. The bombs traumatized a city that has seen nothing like it in its modern history. Volunteers offered to donate blood and to help at emergency centers. One rescue worker says they have been performing amputations and treating survivors for massive bleeding and for hysteria. The Prime Minister and King Juan Carlos addressed the nation to condemn the attacks and to promise to find the culprits. The Spanish people themselves honored their dead with a minute's silence today, and this evening thousands gathered in the city center to grieve. Charles Glass, ABC News, Madrid.
Right after the explosions, the Spanish government was quick to blame a local Spanish terrorist group for the attack, but later in the day, police found evidence that international Islamic terrorists might have been involved. It is anything but a clear picture. Here's ABC's chief investigative correspondent, Brian Ross.
At first, Spanish investigators were convinced that the Basque separatist group ETA was responsible. They had targeted trains before. And just 10 days ago, Spanish police had seized a van full of the same batch of explosives called Titadine used today. 2 members of ETA in the van were arrested.
ETA is perfectly capable of doing something of this sort. And the only reason why they haven't done it is because the police have caught them.
Yet ETA has never pulled off an attack as big as today's, and it almost always claims responsibility. Today, it denied responsibility.
ETA is an old-fashioned terrorist organization that usually steers clear of mass murder.
And as the day went on, there were further questions about the possible role of al-Qaeda. The Spanish Interior Minister announced tonight the discovery of a van that contained bomb detonators and Arabic language audio tapes with passages from the Quran.
This might have been the first case where Al-Qaeda cooperated with a non-Muslim group. This may have been ETA supported by Al-Qaeda or the other way around.
Other factors being considered include a declaration by Osama bin Laden last October that Spain was on a list of countries that should be considered legitimate targets because of their strong support of the U.S. war on terror. And Spanish authorities have busted up several hidden Al-Qaeda cells in Spain since September 2001, including men thought to have helped plan the 9/11 attacks.
This is really 9/11 for Spain. This was an attack in the heart of their capital. It was an attack that killed 200 people in a country much smaller than the United States. It wounded 1,000 people. They're feeling tonight like we felt on 9/11.
Spanish and U.S. officials simply don't know yet who was responsible. But the scale of the attack makes it clear that whoever did it, they sought to match the horror of 9/11 attacks here. And that, Charlie, sadly has become the standard to meet for terrorists.
All right, Brian Ross, thanks very much. On Wall Street today, the bombings in Spain were another reason for some investors to sell. The Dow Jones Industrial Average down 168 points to close at 10,128. On the NASDAQ, stocks lost 20 points, and ABC's Betsy Stark is joining us. Obviously, terrorism today, part of the reason for the sell-off, but it's been a lousy week on Wall Street. What's going on?
Yeah, this is the fourth straight day of losses, and it's adding up to some pretty big numbers. Take a look at them. The Dow down 467 points. This week, the NASDAQ 103 points. Terrorism today, the main culprit, but their job market fears are also playing on this market. Stocks have been sinking since last Friday's disappointing jobs report. Investors getting impatient, wondering when are employers going to really start hiring?
Temporary jitters or more of a fall to come?
Charlie, I think there's real anxiety out there about the state of the economy. Stocks ran up big time last year, anticipating a strong recovery. If it doesn't materialize, including that jobs piece, we could see more declines.
All right, ABC's Betsy Stark, thanks very much. In suburban New York today, President Bush helped break ground for a 9/11 memorial. The president made no remarks at the somber ceremony, but he did say earlier the lesson of 9/11 is to deal with threats before they fully materialize. The president, as you probably know, used scenes from Ground Zero in his first campaign ads that were broadcast. That ignited a debate about whether it's appropriate to use such images in an election campaign. Well, today, his campaign launched a new round of ads that attacked John Kerry for the first time, by name. With that story, ABC's George Stephanopoulos.
I'm George W. Bush, and I approve this message.
That disclaimer required by new campaign laws is the only time you hear President Bush. After a brief pause, a softer female voice makes the case against Kerry.
A president sets his agenda for America in the first 100 days.
No president has ever aired ads about his challenger so early in the campaign. The Bush team insists that Kerry's record is his own worst enemy. In 30 seconds, 3 key charges.
John Kerry's plan? To pay for new government spending, raise taxes by at least $900 billion.
The Kerry campaign called that charge completely false. The real story: Kerry has explicitly proposed raising only about $250 billion in taxes over 10 years by rolling back the Bush tax cuts for wealthy Americans. But his health care plan would cost almost $900 billion, and he hasn't spelled out how he's going to pay for it. The Bush ad jumps to the conclusion that only tax increases can fill the gap. Charge number 2.
Weaken the Patriot Act used to arrest terrorists.
There's nothing subtle about the image that hammers home this charge. And Kerry does want to change the law, but reforms, he says, will protect privacy, not terrorists. Charge number 3.
And he wanted to delay defending America until the United Nations approved.
Defending America in this context is code for invading Iraq. And while Kerry denies giving the UN a veto over the decision to go to war, he does say that President Bush should have brought more nations to the cause.
So the ad war is fully engaged, Charlie. The Kerry campaign says they'll be on the ad tomorrow, with an ad being produced in studios tonight, and it goes straight at President Bush's credibility. All we know so far is the first sentence. Once again, George W. Bush is misleading America. Charlie?
All right, George, and it's only March. Thanks very much. On Capitol Hill today, the House of Representatives delivered a sharp rebuke to broadcasters. They voted overwhelmingly to significantly increase the maximum fine for obscenity and indecency on the nation's airwaves. The momentum for this has been building for some time. Here's ABC's Linda Douglas.
Indignation over racy images and raunchy speech reached a crescendo in the House of Representatives.
This XXX smut stuff should never be broadcast on the public airwaves.
My constituents are very tired of having to cover over their children's eyes and ears every time they turn on the television set.
The House bill would punish broadcasters and entertainers for indecency on TV and radio. There would be a huge increase in fines. The maximum fine of $27,500 would rise to $500,000 for each offense.
Today we are saying enough is enough.
Broadcasters are scrambling to get out from under the wrath of the public and the politicians. Clear Channel, the country's largest radio group, has suspended shock jock Howard Stern, fired raunchy disc jockey Bubba the Love Sponge, and has instituted a 20-second delay for live broadcasts. Today, some House members warned against creeping censorship.
To impose a fine on speech that you don't like of $500,000 a shot, multiplied by 30 or 300 stations, doesn't have a chilling effect. It has a freezing out effect.
The FCC is stepping up enforcement and has told Congress to expect at least 24 actions against broadcasters in the next few months. The FCC will also reverse an earlier decision and declare that what pop star Bono blurted out on the Golden Globes last year was indecent.
That's really, really brilliant.
Linda Douglas, ABC News, Capitol Hill.
Just ahead in the broadcast, race, sexuality, and civil rights. The explosive debate ignited by the campaign to make same-sex marriage legal. Did the penalty fit the crime today when hockey punished the player who did this? And the convicted criminal trying to broker a deal with the FBI to get back $500 million in art.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Brought to you by Just for Men.
Even close up, hair color should look natural. That's why today's Just for Men with X-Gray Science targets only the gray hair, replacing it with subtle tones that match your own color. In 5 easy minutes, vitamin-enriched Just for Men rejuvenates hair, brings back a natural look. No matter how close up she gets. Just for Men with X-Gray Science, the Rejuvenator.
For my tough allergy symptoms, I thought I always had to get a prescription.
Of all these prescription allergy brands, Claritin was chosen most, and only Claritin is available without a prescription. Same non-drowsy 24-hour relief. Only Claritin.
With Claritin, my runny nose, itchy eyes haven't bothered me all day, and I don't need a prescription. Claritin is the clear choice for me.
For non-drowsy 24-hour relief, try the one and only Claritin.
If you have diabetes, you should know about the new improved Accu-Check Compact System. The one with the drum. It's automatic, so you never have to handle a test strip. And now you can test on any of 6 different sites, including your finger or forearm, with results in half the time. Which is great when you're in the middle of something important. The improved Accu-Check Compact System. Faster test, 6 sites.
When you're passionate about something, you never quit. Your multivitamin? Centrum Silver with lycopene, an ingredient in tomatoes that science suggests may help reduce the risk of heart disease. Put your heart into what you love. Centrum Silver with lycopene.
If you want to get a jump on the day, you better get started the night before. Tylenol PM stops your pain and eases you into a restful night's sleep, so you wake up refreshed. Safe, non-habit forming Tylenol PM.
Our closer look tonight involves same-sex marriage, and there were 2 major developments on that story today. In California, the state Supreme Court ordered a halt to gay marriages in San Francisco until it can hear a case on whether they are legal. And in Boston, Massachusetts, state lawmakers seem to have reached a preliminary agreement to permit civil unions and ban same-sex marriages. Those fighting to legalize the same-sex marriage compare their struggle to other battles for civil rights. That comparison sparks a lot of debate in America's primarily black communities. With our closer look at that, here's ABC's Steve Osunsami.
In Boston, some black ministers are offended.
I resent the fact that homosexuals are trying to piggyback on the civil rights struggle of the 60s.
They say this
with this ring, I be wed.
Cannot be compared to a movement defined by Jim Crow laws and the right to vote.
I was born black. I was born male. Homosexuals are not born, they're made. And so they don't qualify.
Gay and lesbian Americans say they do belong in the civil rights tent.
Separate but equal is not okay.
People don't choose to be gay. We are born this way.
This ad in support of same-sex marriage and paid for by gay conservatives uses civil rights imagery to make the point.
We don't get to choose and shouldn't be able to choose and say you get to live free but you don't.
The issue is dividing the black community and the black church, where the civil rights movement began.
Same-sex marriage has nothing to do with civil rights. This is an issue of morality.
But in Atlanta, Reverend Joseph Lowery, who marched with Martin Luther King, says black Americans should know better than to judge.
When you talk about the law discriminating, the law granting privilege here and right here and denying it there, that's a civil rights issue. And I can't take that away from anybody.
Here in Georgia, where segregation was once the law, black lawmakers say it is all about civil rights. They're voting as a bloc to defeat a state amendment that would ban same-sex marriages.
Discrimination, whether it shows up in African Americans versus white Americans 60 years ago, or whether it shows up against homosexual people today, is wrong.
Every day they walk past the portraits of white segregationists who wrote discrimination into law. Years from now, they don't want to be judged the same way. Steve Osunsami, ABC News, Atlanta.
Our closer look for tonight. When we return, Judgment Day for the hockey player who broke an opponent's neck. Will the judgment stop the violence?
Cheerios and fruit. Some couples were just made for each other. Now, Berry Burst Cheerios brings together real bananas, strawberries, and those classic O's for a taste you can fall in love with again and again. New Strawberry Banana Berry Burst Cheerios.
Harry is a scratcher who keeps getting scratched. New Maximum Strength Scalpicin with vitamin E works fast to stop damaging scratching with the itch medicine dermatologists recommend. Maximum Strength Scalpicin, the clear solution to a healthier scalp.
Millions of us are hospitalized with heart-related chest pain or a certain type of heart attack, what doctors call ACS. The cause? For most, it was blood platelets that formed clots which blocked blood from getting to the heart. Think aspirin and your other heart medications alone are enough? One more thing could help make a difference. Ask your doctor about adding Plavix. Add it to aspirin in your current treatment. Plavix goes beyond what you're taking to help raise protection against heart attack or stroke. Plavix and your other medications work in different ways. Plavix, taken with aspirin, plays its own role in keeping blood platelets from sticking together and forming clots, which helps keep blood flowing.
If you have a medical condition that causes bleeding, such as a stomach ulcer, you shouldn't use Plavix. The risk of bleeding may increase with Plavix, and when you take Plavix with certain other medications, including aspirin, review your medicines with your doctor to minimize this risk. Additional rare but serious side effects could occur.
Add Plavix for more protection against heart attack or stroke.
Announcing the Lincoln Mercury Think Big sales event with just announced savings on every Lincoln and Mercury, including the award-winning Mercury Grand Marquis with 5-star safety and no charge leather seating. A $995 value. Add it all up, and Grand Marquis offers a total value of $4,495 during the Think Big sales event. See your Lincoln Mercury dealer today.
Break up the full feeling of indigestion and pain with Alka-Seltzer.
Tomorrow, the latest Olympic sport, women wrestlers getting tough, taking over. It's no longer a man's sport. Plus, one more extraordinary person is chosen Person of the Week on World News Tonight.
The government today moved to stop the sale of a dietary supplement called Andro. The Food and Drug Administration says it poses the same health risks as an anabolic steroid. Andro became extremely popular after the baseball star Mark McGwire said he was on it when he broke the home run record in 1998. The National Hockey League suspended Vancouver All-Star Todd Bertuzzi today for his vicious attack on a Colorado player Monday night. The National Hockey League commissioner called today's punishment of Bertuzzi stern, harsh, and quick. But some questioned if it was stern and harsh enough. Here's ABC's John McKenzie.
Even before Vancouver's Todd Bertuzzi learned of the suspension, he asked forgiveness from the player he attacked.
I just want to apologize for what happened out there. That I had no intention on hurting you.
Hard to imagine after you see what actually happened Monday night. After you see Bertuzzi stalking Colorado's Steve Moore, skating up behind him, then slugging him on the side of the head. Bertuzzi drove Moore into the ice, fracturing his neck and leaving him with a concussion and deep cuts to his face.
I don't play the game that way. And I'm not a mean-spirited person. And I'm sorry for what happened.
Public remorse was clearly not enough. The National Hockey League announced Bertuzzi's suspension for the remaining 12 games of the season, the playoffs, and possibly into next season.
Bertuzzi will forfeit at least $501,926.
Many players, even the victim's teammates, seem satisfied.
We know Todd really feels bad about it, and the league did what they had to do for the decision, and we respect that.
Some fans, however, said the punishment should have been much greater.
I don't think that guy should play hockey at all anymore. I mean, that's uncalled for.
I don't feel personally they got enough. I think violence in hockey has gotten way out of control, and he should be charged with the crime that he committed.
As for Moore, his parents flew to Vancouver to be by his side. Doctors say he should make a full recovery in 4 to 6 weeks. John McKenzie, ABC News, New York.
When we return, the $500 million art heist and what may turn out to be a big break in the case.
Hi. Get this free, Mom. I saw 5 snakes. I got a fish. Where you wanna go? Do what you wanna do.
There's a different way to treat seasonal allergies. Singulair, the only seasonal allergy medicine that specifically blocks leukotrienes, an underlying cause of allergy symptoms. It's a once-a-day chewable tablet that helps relieve a broad range of symptoms for a full 24 hours. It's available for children as young as 2. Side effects are generally mild and vary by age and may include headache, ear infection, sore throat, and upper respiratory infection. Ask your child's doctor about Singulair. Singulair, a different way to treat seasonal allergies.
Women went doing, we did all kinds of fun stuff.
I knew women lose bone mass, but who knew it could start as early as our 30s? I'm already 34, so I switched to One-A-Day Women's.
One-A-Day Women's is a complete multivitamin with more than twice the calcium of Centrum.
I need to stay strong.
One-A-Day Women's.
Yeah. We used to get heartburn all the time, but now that new Prilosec OTC is here.
We're going to spread the word.
Yes, indeed. Hey, you okay?
Heartburn the 3rd day this week.
Start taking this tomorrow and things can change.
Prilosec OTC. 1 pill a day can relieve frequent heartburn for 24 hours. I could have 0 heartburn. And it starts working the very first day. Prilosec OTC. 1 pill a day.
24 hours.
0 heartburn.
Serenity's Dry Active line. 3 sizes to fit your needs. All are thin and discreet with superior absorbency and powerful odor control. Serenity Dry Active line from Tena. Forget your worries, not your style.
Great news! St. Joseph Aspirin, that little orange pill you remember, can significantly reduce your risk of a heart attack. And not only is 81 milligram the dosage doctors recommend most for daily cardiotherapy, it's the only kind we make. Because we believe in doing one thing and doing it well. Heart health. Not backaches or headaches, body aches or muscle aches, just heart health. Baby your heart with St. Joseph.
Friday, the O'Donnells, now married for the first time. Hear from the beautiful woman who is Rosie's partner and love.
What is it like to be with arguably the most famous lesbian in the world?
Kelly O'Donnell.
You did not tell your parents you were gay.
A Barbara Walters exclusive.
Is it till death do us part?
2020, Friday.
Finally tonight, the great art robbery. It has been 14 years since the largest art theft in U.S. history. It happened in Boston. The FBI estimating that $500 million worth of masterpieces were stolen from the Gardner Museum there. No one has ever been charged. The art has never been recovered. But now, well, we'll let ABC's Brian Ross tell you what's up.
14 years ago, the tiny Gardner Museum had no insurance and no alarm system, just 2 unarmed guards. It did have dozens of priceless masterpieces, an art thief's dream, according to Billy Youngworth, a one-time member of the notorious Boston art theft ring, who says he knows what happened at the Gardner.
You know, this was on the short list of soft targets. I mean, it had, it was loaded.
Based on the FBI investigation, 2 thieves posing as police easily subdued the guards and then roamed free, as seen in this graphic recreation. Their $500 million take included 3 Rembrandts, and most prized of all, one of only 32 known paintings by the Dutch master Vermeer, The Concert. Youngworth says the thieves then showed a certain lack of knowledge when they took 5 charcoal drawings by Edgar Degas.
The Degas studies was an absolute mistake. I mean, you're going to expend that amount of energy on charcoal studies when you're passing by, Botticelli's and Raphael's.
Youngworth now says the thieves stole the art in order to trade it with authorities for one of their gang members in prison, what he calls a grab and return.
Grab and return. We get our guy back, they get the stuff back, no harm, no foul, on we go.
But Youngworth says the deal fell through, and ever since he's been trying to broker the return of the art and collect the $5 million reward. The problem has been that Youngworth fears the FBI will try to put him and his friends in jail for possession of the stolen art.
Make the choice. Do you want to put somebody in a cell, or do you want the art back?
That's the choice.
That's the choice.
Now the U.S. Attorney in Boston tells ABC News he's ready to negotiate. Michael Sullivan says he'll choose the art over successful prosecution of the thieves or of Youngworth.
If they're mutually exclusive, I think a successful return of the artwork is a higher priority.
Federal prosecutors and the FBI say they hope their new position will lead to a deal for the return of the stolen art. For now, the empty frames are all that remain on the museum walls. Brian Ross, ABC News, New York.
And we'll have more of Brian's report on the art heist later this evening on Primetime Thursday. I'm Charles Gibson. For all of us at ABC News, good night.
One year ago in Iraq, it all seemed so clear. What about now? Next week, Peter Jennings reports from Iraq, where things stand 1 year later on ABC's World News Tonight. ABC News. Accurate. Credible. Tonight, catch me if you can. A strange game of high-stakes cat and mouse. $500 million of art masterpieces vanished without a trace. But could this man get it all back? The biggest art heist ever.
So what happened to the art?
On an all-new Primetime tonight.
First, fast, accurate. News 2 at 6 starts now.
A surprising ending today in a debate about abortion on Tennessee's Capitol Hill. Good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Mueller.
And I'm Victoria Hansen. The sponsor of a plan to add abortion language to the state constitution suddenly stopped the fight today.
It came after a controversial amendment. News 2's Chris Bungard saw it all and tells us what happened.
I took it on myself.
Senator Charlotte Burks wanted to allow abortions in cases of rape, incest, or risk to the life of the mother. Senator David Fowler said that would open loopholes in his resolution to change the state constitution. He wanted language added there that says there is nothing that protects or secures the right to an abortion and funding thereof.
on the bill. Every senator vote.
The amendment nearly passed, which led the sponsor to withdraw his resolution.
And that will be the end for this session.
After what suddenly happened up here today, there was no lack of sharp words, beginning with the sponsor who accused some fellow senators of breaking their word.
It's frustrating to lose, but it's frustrating to have Senator McCleary, Senator Kilby, who the other day said, "Oh, I'm with you. I will be with the pro-life position on this issue," and then not to keep your word.
Senator, you